Preaching on the yeah.
What's good, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to the one and only Big Guy Fantasy Sports Network, ladies and gentlemen. It's the Goal Line Goons on a happy Halloween. It's the fantasy football joker, aka your boy RumboyzRobbie. What's good, the heart Robbie? Partner with Daddy Shark.
Daddy Shark do 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 do. Daddy Shark do 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 do. Daddy Shark do 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 do. Hey, what's up, everybody?
It's just Taco, ladies and gentlemen.
That in itself is a character.
Taco, can we actually see what the fuck your Halloween costume is?
Yeah, baby, that Daddy Shark out there. You know what I mean?
I've been
with the big ass gut.
We got the makeup popping on. I would have went full makeup, but I was like, I've been doing this character for 3 days, and if you do the Joker for like 3 days straight, I hear that you kind of get stuck in it. So I'm trying to like relax. Yeah, Robbie is just a serial killer. He's not the Joker anymore. No, for real. Taco Phantom Tax Bat. Taco does look like Phantom, doesn't he?
Phantom.
Like Taco does look a little bit like Phantom, right? Like,
who's that? I never heard of him.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live here on the Goal Line Goons. How we haven't gotten canceled yet is an anomaly, but we're here. It's week 9. We're heading into week 9. It's episode 8. I'm writing a World Series parlay right now, just so everyone knows. Rangers, give me some. Rangers, give me some. It's 10-zip right now in the 4th. So just so you know, if you guys start seeing me going a little bit crazy tonight, more crazy than what I'd probably normally be as a fantasy football joker, then I promise we're going to have a great show. We're going to have a great night. We're going to discuss a lot of fantasy football. Brad's starting it off right now. Make sure you hit the like, hit the comment, hit the comments, subscribe. Be like Brad. Be like Leafs. Start Lockett or Gus Edwards in flex. We're going to be getting in some must-start flexes, but I'll just answer your question right off the top. Let's look into the matchups really quick before we dive into the anarchy. I feel like with the Halloween weekend coming down, we don't have to buy as much into the anarchy as many would. Taking a quick look-see here, mate. Seattle playing against Baltimore, so you got these two teams facing each other. I would probably play Lockett. But it's a Tuesday.
I mean, I'm looking at Gus Edwards' last 2 games, 14 carries for 64 yards and a touchdown, 19 carries for 80 yards and 3 touchdowns. He's looking like he's becoming the clear lead back, and for that, I would lean on the running back because I just feel like that's a little bit safer. But I don't know what the status of DK Metcalf is until we get into that a little bit later. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think I'm probably going to gravitate towards Gus Edwards right now based on his hotness and his more consistency.
I love these 2 comments back to back really quick. Also traded Aaron Jones and Michael Thomas for Pollard earlier this morning. And then Leafs comes back and combats that comment against Brad with I tried doing that, didn't work. Sounds like a my league problem that just because something works in one league does not mean that it'll work in another league. That is a definite your league problem. We are gonna hurry up and get in to tonight's show sheets while we can, before, like, if the chat chooses to go awry, like, we just need to be prepared for it. And I think that's the best way to solve tonight's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Happy Halloween here on Big Guy Fantasy Sports. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We greatly appreciate you. You can catch us every Tuesday night here on Big Guy Fantasy Sports, BigGuyFantasySports.com. Check out all the latest and greatest in fantasy football tools, resources, articles, podcasts, and much, much more on BigGuyFantasySports.com. Your boy is running everything for a whole week. So you definitely now got to check it out because for a whole week, Robbie's got the keys to the Rari. Let's have some fun. Go over there, cop our consistency guide. Link is down below. Link is in the description. You already know. Dilly. Taco.
Oh, yeah.
I guess it's time that we start this off with our game show.
Oh, it's going to be fun.
And listen, RumboyzRobbie is not actually hosting tonight. We get to have the great TDS Taco answering.
Daddy Shark.
Dude. Daddy Shark asking the questions. Taco, we'll be back after the theme music.
All right.
And we are back here on the Fantasy Football Game Show. Oh, we're doing shades. We're going shades.
I'd do a quick little costume change just for the show. You know what I mean? I make these things happen. I just do what I do.
He's like, I get to host one fucking segment.
Well,
the one time I give you the keys to drive the car, you put on a pair of shades.
I mean, all right. I wear my stunning shade. Okay, let's get this going.
These are not players that cannot be listed from before, so hopefully you did your due diligence.
Well, next time I'll make sure that I check the list, but I think for the most part, I'm going to avoid most of these guys. The first player I'm going to bring up, we're going to start at quarterback, Robbie, and we're going to go with the top dog, the man making the heat up in cold Buffalo, Josh Allen.
Oh,
what do you currently think Josh Allen's consistency rating is as the number one quarterback in standard fantasy football?
We've done this before.
I mean, it did change because he had more games, so the numbers don't stay the same.
Well, but
what's your answer?
I do the report. I view the report.
Okay.
This probably wasn't fair to do.
Okay. And your answer is?
Being second in rank.
What is it?
I'm going to pour a shot of rum first. I got to stick to my personality because right now I have to be the guest. So I have to do what I would be a guest on any other show, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I can't answer the question sober. Cheers to me, cheers to you. Make sure you all head to BigGuyFantasySports.com. What it do? I'm going to go 75% because of the interceptions.
That is correct. Ding, ding, ding. Winner.
But the games played balances it out.
So now let's spice it up, but keep it at that same team as we saw for the first time a player really go off that we haven't seen go off from this team. And my guy, Gabe Davis. What is Gabe Davis's consistency?
See, here's the thing. Now that we're deep enough in the season where we have to calculate stats into the situation. If we're just going to talk Buffalo Bills football, but then we're going to bring consistency into the matter.
I mean, let's face it, this is one of the most.
If Allen's at that 75%, he's had some, and what's brought him down in that percentile has been the interceptions that have been thrown throughout the course of the games played. Gabe Davis has had some absences, so I'm going to go somewhere along the lines of about 60. Let me go 60%. 67.
Very close. 63% for Gabriel Davis, who we know to be a very inconsistent wide receiver who had a fantastic game in his last game with some great usage, and someone that I think it's.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say someone that I think it's gone to the point where you just kind of have to grin and bear it and kind of just roll with him. But you were jumping into something.
No, I knew that the percentile was somewhere around there, but I knew that I had to factor in the games that Stephon Diggs was a big factor in. Stephon Diggs this last week definitely undersold, underperformed, disappointed more, for a matter of fact. Basically being almost dead last. He was anywhere between 3 or 4 on the team in targets. It was clearly a Dalton Kincaid show. So that Buffalo Bills offense, I'm wheels up on, and as we get into some of the later topics, I see why they may have done some things they have done, but we'll talk about that later.
All right, now to get out of Buffalo, let's go down to New Orleans and talk about a man that's come back from suspension, and he has come back at the running back position to be a pretty solid guy. But Robbie, what is your consistency take on Alvin Kamara?
Alvin Kamara, in terms of a consistency percentage, coming off the suspension, so I have to evaluate the amount of games played into this, which is going to have to affect his consistency rating. I want to go below the 50% mark here. I wouldn't be surprised if he's somewhere. Lucky number 7 is my favorite number. So I'm going to have a 7 at the end of this. I want to say it's between that 47 to 57 percentage. But for the sake of the game, I'm going to hit on 47.
Okay, Robbie. Now, I don't know if we could play that clip from not Happy Gilmore, but Billy Madison, but Alvin Kamara has 100% consistency. He has been consistent in every game. He is one of the top fantasy PPR running backs.
Yeah, given the games he's played, he is already double-digit scoring. The clutch rating is there.
100% consistency for my guy, Alvin Kamara.
I very much could see that in the amount of usage that he has had. Quickly, a guy that can emerge up those running back charts. I see that. I have no problems being wrong on that guess.
All right. Now let's land this plane. Let's talk about the last position and the last player, which is tight end. Which, I mean, I think we know tight end is always just one of those mysterious positions where crazy things happen every single year. But year in, year out, this guy is usually pretty good. And this year is no different, sitting at tight end number 5. We have George Kittle. Robbie, what's George Kittle's consistency rating? The number 5 tight end. Remember this, people. He is the number 5 tight end. Please, Robbie, what is his consistency?
But in terms of fantasy points, he's inflated that over the last couple of weeks. So because of the inflation in the stock, I want to go with a 87%. George Kittle, let's create anarchy, baby, because your team has already done it to my team.
Well, Robbie, before you were too low. Now, my friend, you're a little too high. George Kittle's actually at 50% consistency on the season. So even though he's the number 5 tight end in total points, like you said, Robbie, he's making his games up, and like how he did in the last couple of games, putting up some big outings, and that's enough to make huge jumps at this position.
And those are things that we really look for, and that's really why we play this game. Mm-hmm. The consistency rating and what the fantasy points and the fantasy output this is a really good tool on BigGuyFantasySports.com that is going to help temper your expectations and help you build the best lineup, the most maximized lineup possible. I'm glad that we did this exercise, and I'm glad that you did that because it put a couple of different things into perspective for me.
I mean, shit, after what you started saying, I was like, damn, Robbie knows everything. He got the cheat code. Am I going to get him? And I got him. So, yeah.
No, I mean, and I looked at nothing. I kept it honest, obviously, because what happened. But no, and I like that, and I hope this was a great episode of the Fantasy Football Game Show. We'll be back on the next segment here on the Goal Line Goons.
Let's go.
I made that one quick. Happy Halloween, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Rumboyz Fantasy Network.
Damn, how did I not go with the jokes on you? I should have used that line before.
Should we pencil trick really quick?
No, onward and upward. We have to teach or help these guys navigate through the injuries.
We do have a show. We have a show time that we have to be within. So we are going to keep this thing pushing and moving. Trade deadline reactions. Well, we're just going to start with the obvious, and then we'll segue into navigating injuries. We'll get into trade deadline reactions first, because I know that's what people really give a fuck about right now. Trade deadline closed about 4 hours ago, 4 or 5 hours ago, about 4 hours ago at this point. Dobbs to Minnesota, DPJ to the Detroit Lions, and Washington fire sells its defensive line for future picks.
Giants also sent Leonard to Seattle for a second-round pick, but eat most of the contract, which I thought was a steal for us. Like getting rid of Leonard and getting a second-round pick, I thought that was fantastic.
Well, that was after the clock, wasn't it?
No, that was before. The Giants made that move, and then the Commanders went back-to-back and sold both.
Yep. Yeah. So first off, with Washington's offense, because of what happened with the defense, this offense is gonna be playing from behind. Rivera knows that he's losing his job. I think at this point, this was Washington getting ahead of the books. Take care of business early because you weren't going to keep both. You might have been able to keep one at best. And even keeping one at best was going to put you behind the books because of what you would have had to do to keep the offense and to keep Howell in the future. Howell is clearly the future. You can't go into the black. I think this was Washington keep themselves from going in the black. Let's free up what we got to free up. We were going to have to do it anyways. It was going to come at the end of the season or not. Let's do it now. Let's get some value back. Because at least we can get some guys that can come in and fill that position. This draft class is loaded with talent, both offense and defense. You can check out Big Guy Fantasy Sports during the off season. I'm going to be here dropping some scouting. I'm going to be dropping my scouting reports here on not just on Rumboyz, but here. My scouting profiles will come out on both. I promise you that. I fucking promise you that. Washington didn't do bad. This was business. And it is what it is. There are a few teams that I'm disappointed in. I'm not disappointed in the Browns for getting rid of DPJ. I'm okay with that. I think that the Minnesota Vikings were 100% safe and getting Dobbs. Leaf saying 49ers defense is loaded. We did right by Chase Young, getting him the closest ability towards the ring that he could. Sweat will have to work for his, but we got value in exchange for both.
I'll say this though, Sweat looks like he's in a better position to get the contract, like that next year contract with the Bears.
Yeah.
And when you look at
Young is probably gonna have to fight for his deal.
But Young is gonna go play with Bosa, who I think he was teammates with before, which you know what I mean, could be a nice little tandem.
Yeah.
So you get kind of two storylines there for Young. I think he needs to establish himself as that edge rusher he could be in order to make the bag. Because I mean, let's face it, he went for a 3rd round pick. He went for a lower pick than Sweat for a reason.
No, I am completely. I mean, Young had the injury, and I think that's what evaluated into the valuation.
He hasn't
we're going to get. I mean, and there was a report from a very close source that has stated, "Hey, man, bro, like Chicago gave more for Sweat than what they would have given for Young." So, and then that's what happened. And San Fran gave the most for Young than any other team, and then that's what collapsed it. It was, oh shit, like you're gonna hook us up ahead of value than everyone else. Well, then that now changes things, and that alters the conversation of which needs to be had. And from a business standpoint, I'm okay with it because we need to get ahead of the books before getting behind the books. I'm not trying to throw a shot. I'm not trying to throw a diss. We've already seen this work out in the NFC East before, and that team wears blue. So why would we want to do what the other team is doing? I get that it's a copycat league. That's not something you want to copycat.
I'm a little shocked that the Giants really stood pat and did not trade Saquon Barkley at all. I think that to me means that you're more than likely in the offseason, you're going to see some sort of contract come through.
I think that it's more shocking that you had a chance to go and get what's his name, Jackson? Like y'all were supposed to lock in a trade before the deadline and you couldn't submit it.
For who? What was the trade? I didn't see it.
Hang on, let me pull it up because I actually got hit up about this one. It was like, yo, like the Giants could have landed like a solid DB, and well, yeah.
Part of me thinks is that just fan service, knowing how hard that the fans go at watching some of this stuff, where you want to say like it was last minute.
You did not. So you had a trade locked in for Adoree Jackson. You did not report it to the league in time.
But didn't we have Adoree Jackson before, and then let him go, or moved him?
But for the sake of what you're trying, what you guys are doing, scheme wise, that would have been a solid fit. Yeah, Rasul Douglas going to the Bills. I think that's super solid. The Bills finding ways to continue to bulk up that secondary. I have nothing against that. Let me just kind of go through everything that happened during the trade deadline today, because I think that's actually the most proper way for the Joker to handle this segment of anarchy.
While you pull that up, I do have one thing about DBJ to the Lions. I think when we see like the consistency out of Williams and him not really being a factor, I think it's a very interesting move with DPJ because he might not end to have the bye week, so he kind of has a chance to get familiar with the playbook. I think he could be an interesting player coming
I
out of the bye.
He could be an interesting player just because this shows that you didn't have as much faith, and last night showed that you probably didn't have as much faith in Jameson Williams as you thought that you could have had.
Yep.
Really quick, I want to start this off before I segue. Excuse me. Despite speculations, these were the players that all of us thought and felt should have been moved. Devontae Adams, Brian Burns, Saquon Barkley, Daniil Hunter, Derrick Henry, Jerry Jeudy, Patrick Sutton the second, I'm sorry. Patrick Sutton the second, Cortland Sutton, Mike Evans, T. Higgins, DeAndre Hopkins, Hunter Renfro, Jacoby Brissett, Carl Lawson. These were the players that were moved. Chase Young, Montez Sweat, Leonard Williams, Kevin Byard, Ezra Cleveland, Joshua Dobbs, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Rasul Douglas, Kentavious Street, Mecole Hardman, Randy Gregory, J.C. Jackson, Chase Claypool, Van Jefferson, Cam Akers. Not a single fucking name that you expected to be moved before the deadline was moved. I'll grant the Commanders' moves because there was rumors about that. The trade deadline was odd. But now that leads us into now navigating injuries. Guys went down. Guys have been down. The Vikings now have Joshua Dobbs. Is Dobbs rosterable? Is Dobbs tradable or trade worthy? Like, we need to be having this conversation, I feel.
Yeah, I mean, these are very interesting times, especially when you look at how QB scoring has been throughout the season. A lot of guys aren't producing the way you'd want. And when you look at the overall scoring in standard 1 point PPR leagues with 4-point touchdowns, he is currently QB 12, and he's getting an upgrade in weapons. I mean, like he had Brown, Addison. I think is as good. Then he had KJ
starting. And I was gonna bring that up. I was gonna let Taco go, but the chat beat you to this take.
But so you don't expect him to start when you
put this head up.
Hold on, but you don't expect Dobbs to start the second he gets there when you're coming in a short week. You're not going to learn the playbook in 4 games. But is he going to start the next game next week?
Jaron Hall.
Next week, I would. If you don't make a trade for a guy like this, if you don't probably plan to start him next week, this week is not enough time for him to get acclimated. But by next week, you expect him to probably come in and be the guy that's playing as the starter.
I think that from a fantasy football standpoint, given the amount of quarterback injuries that have taken place recently, from the Justin Fields situations to, now we have questions about Sam Howell's possible ability to, obviously, he's been the most sacked quarterback in the league. So now it's like, okay, well, you got rid of his 2 best defenders that were creating opportunities to at least create time possession to be able to give him the opportunity. So now it's like, okay, do I even start him? Kirk Cousins is now hurt. All right, well, a guy that we're going to talk about later, Joe Burrow, was kind of looking back, but then I also have Brock Purdy out. We are now dwindling with the quarterback position, and we're getting ready for playoff weeks. Trade deadline for most fantasy leagues is week 11, week 12. What are we telling these guys that Jaron Hall? There's leagues that guys are going to need to possibly think about a Jaron Hall start.
I mean, there's has to be probably another option available. I mean, maybe we'll get into a little bit later in the show.
QB, I think that you could keep your head above water.
I mean, the problem is you even have like really good QBs going out and putting out abysmal performances. Like, it's just one of those things this season where
I want to talk to the 2 QB offense, to the 2 QB audience really quick. Weeks ago on this show, we were doubting a Jordan Love. You're starting a Jordan Love. We were doubting a Bryce Young. You're starting a Bryce Young. We were doubting a Gardner Minshew. You're starting a Gardner Minshew. Sam Howell, you're starting.
Yeah.
Sam Howell just got fucked on the opposite side of the football. I'm sorry. But to my 2 QB guys and gals out there, I'm preaching to you right now. Tyson Baguette, at least for a weak streamer. These are real conversations that need to be had.
Well, I mean,
I would start any one of those names that I just mentioned over a Garoppolo.
I think we it's the perfect way to talk about what's cooking in Tennessee. Because if you look about who came through on his first game, Will Levis said, "Listen, guys, I made like mayo in my coffee, but I can actually score points." He had 4 touchdowns.
Before we get into that, I want to answer Andrew's question. Full Titan Premium, full PPR, and Njoku for Pitts. Do I do it? Pitts is doing okay.
Hold on one second. Let me look at the consistency rating.
It's been a lot of PJ Walker.
Consistency ratings. Njoku. David Njoku is at 43% consistency, and Kyle Pitts is at 38% consistency. We're looking at a little more points for Kyle Pitts.
Weeks.
I mean, as far as it's concerned, I would say
Kyle Pitts tied in 13. You're hoping that the upside continues is really what it is. And I'm almost willing to be like, do it. Like, for real, do it. Njoku's tied in 18. 1 week can make Njoku go way ahead of Pitts.
And I'll say this with
and the schedule ahead for either or isn't even a nail breaker just because Arthur Smith can choose to just abandon Pitts at any given moment.
I do. When you look at this, in his last 2 games, he has 17 targets and 9 receptions for 131 yards in his last 2 games. So he is getting targeted more in the offense in comparison to where he was earlier in the year, as he only had 1 game above 7 in the previous 5 games he played before that. So he is getting more targets.
Kyle Pitts 2 double-digit games though come in week 5 and week 6. Other than that, it's pretty much a 7.6 point stable floor.
Yeah, I mean,
Njoku will get you the bigger boom.
I think there's less weapons that I really trust with Cleveland, so I actually might go with Njoku because you got Cooper, and
they got rid of DPJ.
Yeah, you actually might get better value there because there's less players that are going to get the ball than him. Pitts, I mean, you got more guys.
I'm gonna stick with Njoku personally.
Yeah, because even Jonnu Smith is there. You got 2 tight ends that you're competing with on your one team. Plus, then you got Bijan, then you got London. I think there's just too many mouths, right? Actually, rather the Njoku situation rest of the season.
Exactly. Thoughts on DPJ to the Lions? Like, does he resurrect his career?
No. I mean, we've seen like the flashes with Reynolds, so maybe he can make a little bit of a spark, but no, I don't think so.
I feel like that with Jameson Williams still being there and having to be worked into the fold, that I think that I still have faith in that. And that's what I'm going to focus on and kind of put my energy towards. And there's Laporta and like
let's not even talk about
Reynolds. They still got Reynolds that they're feeding.
last night. There was no Montgomery. And what does this offense look like when you have Montgomery back? And how do they then change their deployment of Gibbs? Because you would think that with now having Monty there, you could actually use Gibbs in a little bit more out wide sets, use him as a receiver, as they allegedly claim they wanted to do in the
I don't even
preseason.
think they have to anymore with that. I think that Gibbs did enough to over the last 2 games to even prove that he can run between the tackles. So
there's no way he's going to take over
like
Montgomery's role.
This team found that they can play efficient, game-winning football without having, like, we could save all the exotic shit even later. I think they discovered there's plays that they can keep in reserve right now and then go full hog.
I think that there's no way that Montgomery's losing his goal line work, short yardage work.
No.
And that for Gibbs, this is going to mean Gibbs might become borderline flex or unplayable. If he's not getting 5 catches a game, if he's not getting at least 5 to 6 catches a game, he's going to be near unplayable. If he's not getting 5 to 6, when Montgomery comes back, if he does not get that, he needs to be what Alvin Kamara was in his rookie year. And if that's not 5 to 6 catches, he's going to be unplayable in most championship type teams because you're going to be banking on too much boom with no touchdown upside. So it has to come from the catches.
Let's see. Let's try and make these next 2 ones really quick on the trade deadline topic. Dobbs of Minnesota, in or out? Take a sip.
I mean, with Minnesota,
I'm in, and I think that if Dobbs can be serviceable in fantasy, but Minnesota maybe not serviceable on the books or fantasy football from the standpoint of money lines and winning games, I think that Dobbs goes out there to be serviceable. Addison's serviceable. Madison's serviceable. Osborne's serviceable. Hawkins is serviceable. I don't think Jettis comes back because I don't think that losing by 1 consistently, which is I think that it will happen, losing by 1 or 14, and I think that's how that works out. But I do think that Dobbs for this offense works out in the absence of Kirk Cousins.
I mean, it'll be interesting because if he's fully healthy and, the question is what happens when Dobbs comes back or when Dobbs
is going to be there. Dobbs is going to be there. Yeah.
No, I'm saying what I meant to say is when he starts like playing and if the Vikings are able
and when we have this conversation next week. Yeah.
Because that's the biggest thing. Because if they're able to somehow win some games with him, all of a sudden it's like, hey, maybe he does come back because the wild card may not be completely out of it.
And maybe that's why Arizona traded him, because it's like, oh fuck, like this dude is actually like putting us in, keeping us close.
Like that's going to be something that's really going to be interesting. Is like, can he kind of keep that magic that he had with the Cardinals, but maybe take it to another level? That he's a pretty much better team around him. I'd say overall it's a better team.
Can he beat Cousins? Can he beat? Essentially, you're hoping that he can beat Cousins.
A bootleg Cousins. That's all you need. See if it can work.
Look,
Kyler Murray might
tank. I mean, they already have to fucking go through Bidwell's phone. Let's face it. Look, I like this for what I can get on the reciprocity of Kyler Murray playing. I like this for a lot of people that went out there and had like the Dobbs and Clayton Tune, or like the Dobbs and Murray, and trying to like figure out how that was going to work out. In that position, okay, maybe this is a move that can help you put together some shit or trade for some shit before the trade deadline. If Kyler Murray pops off and you're at the bottom trying to get into the playoffs, you might need to go and trade for Kyler Murray if he pops off this week. And you may need to have him be your Konami code QB heading in because we know what he can do when he's that guy. So, like, now we're at the part of the season where it's like, okay, like, if you're going to swing for the fences, trade deadline's closing for you in week 11, week 12. So that's like a situation that I'm looking at. I think there's a lot to uncover here. We'll really get some answers at the end of this week, but I don't mind anyone getting ready to go out there with the NFL real life trade deadline happening, going out there trying to swing for the fences, maybe going to see if they can put themselves in position to grab a Kyler Murray and see if they can go and hit the playoffs, or grabbing a Joshua Dobbs and replace it for their Kirk Cousins. DM me, DM Taco, and I can answer trade packages personally. But let's get it moving. Are you worried about the 49ers and Brock Purdy?
Not yet. Not yet. They've been good to us for so long. And Shanahan.
It's 3 losses in a row.
Listen. Not
and
yet.
They're going into bye.
Not yet. I want to see them come out of the bye. I want to see Shanahan make some adjustments, take Purdy and back and figure it out. We know that Christian McCaffrey's been dealing with injury. We know Debo's been dealing with injury all these last couple of weeks. It's clear cut. Purdy is not the best quarterback, but he needs his weapons to come back to be that kind of playoff quarterback that San Francisco wanted. The whole reason why San Francisco is able to compete with the guys like Hurts and with the guys like Mahomes is that they have a ton of great players across the board that they're able to utilize. And like we had mentioned before, if you start to compromise and have some of these guys not playing at full health and efficiency, it's going to harm them. And all of a sudden now you're not able to perform at that level. Debo is a superhuman type player in this offense, the way he's able to be, quote unquote, that Konami cheat code that the 49ers have in addition to CMC. And not having him at full strength is something that, affects the game plan and what they're able to do. And guess what? You know what? You have a couple of bad games. That's okay. The question is what happens as they face this adversary, as they come out of the bye, and as they face some of their divisional opponents. I will not pass up on this 49ers team until they're truly at that point of not really making the playoffs. Once they lose, I would say 3 more games, like if they're 5 and 6, then all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit.
I'm gonna be
even honest. Now you have the Vikings at 7th in the playoffs.
I'm gonna be honest, and I'm gonna agree with you where I don't want to take the casual take of, oh my god, let's panic. This team has shown us more than enough to where okay, if there's 3 losses within the other team, I'd be like, oh my gosh, stick a fork in it, let's start panicking. If this was Dallas, and I know Dallas fans are give the same energy to Dallas fans are begging for us to give the same. We can't. Honestly, we can't. It's not
Track
plausible.
record is real.
I think the 49ers are still the 49ers, and I think they're about to head into a bye, and it gives us some time to recoup. And I'm sorry, but I'm not worried. And kind of the same thing with Minnesota, where they bring in Josh Dobbs now. I'm not worried. And I think we should just kind of deal with that and see how it plays out. And I think we should have this conversation in another. We should have this conversation in week 11.
Robbie, I had a quick question for you. Did you know that the Vikings were currently sitting at number 7 and in the playoffs?
Yeah. That's
if it stays like that,
they're bringing
Jefferson's coming back.
They're bringing a serviceable guy. They're bringing a serviceable guy. At the end of the day, they're still a fucking NFL team. So it's any given goddamn Sunday.
I mean, if that's the case, why wouldn't Jefferson want to come back? Because he's a fucking stud. He knows he's a difference maker.
I that's why I say we revisit this in week 11. I think that we're
Yep.
having a different conversation. I don't think that we can have this week or next week. I there's something here. There's something brewing, and we're just gonna make sure that we're staying ahead of it.
Yep.
We kind of already talked about Kirk down, Dobbs up, and the Jettis return. I want to get into the Tennessee Titans here with another quarterback, Don, but a guy that really showed improve. Will Levis season, like, is it a real thing or not? Should the Titans just go ahead at this point and name him starter ROS rest of the season? The homie lit up the fucking boards. I mean, D Hop had his greatest day as a Titan ever.
Ever. And this season at the same time. But I mean, at this point of the season, why would you name him that? Like, there's no reason to, there's no pressure to. This is your first game. Go do it again.
I think they should start building the confidence early.
Yeah, but you know what? At this point in time, there's no need. There's no need to even open up this box or bring up that discussion yet. Go do it again. Because what if he throws the biggest dud in this game? Then all of a sudden, I can't walk that back.
Okay, but
I want you to go out and perform.
I can walk back a bad game.
Yeah, but depends on how it really looks. Maybe I want you to sit. Maybe there's something I see in the way you play that game after your hype that I don't like. I don't want you going too much to your head right now. There's a reason why you fell. You are showing your progress. You're showing me something. I'm going to give you an opportunity. I'm not taking it away from you. You could be the starter the rest of the season. But I have no pressure or reason to announce him.
He scored 30.6 when he's projected 10.
Yeah.
He's projected 12.9.
Oh, yeah, he had a great game. There's no doubt about it. He put extra mayo in his coffee that day.
He plays Pittsburgh.
Listen, if he goes out there and he delivers again and he beats them and he looks great like this, there's going to be no problem with him running for the rest of the season. But there is no pressure for the coaching staff to go out there and announce him as the starter after you only had one good game. At this point in time, I don't have to play it by anything other than he's going to play this next game and we'll take it from there. And I think as a coach, that's the way you have to play it because you have to manage the room and you have to temper the expectations of the team. And you don't want the team to think, oh my God, this guy's getting handed it. Meanwhile, I worked my ass off and I didn't get it. Now, this guy has worked his ass off. He is getting his second start and he is getting his opportunity. But Ryan Tannehill is the starter. And a starter, usually in most cases, they say doesn't get replaced by injury. So you're going to have a situation to deal with, and you don't want to lose a guy like Ryan Tannehill. So at the end of the day, if he balls out again, it's going to be a conversation. But if he doesn't, Ryan Tannehill is going to get his job back.
Okay. These women are a distraction. Will Levis is the only reason, or Will Levin's ex is the only reason he's playing this good. Hey, yo, she was a baddie, though.
But wasn't she messing around with Richardson then after that?
Yeah, I don't even care. I don't even care. She ain't on that stratosphere. She ain't on the Swithosphere. So I mean, ayo. But no, the next one I want to get into though, your must start player of the week. Okay, your must start. Like, if you have, I honestly don't give a fuck about it being low hanging fruit. All in one show ask for good defense pickup. So actually tossing a defensive pickup at the same time.
So, I mean, I guess the player that I want to start this week, no matter what, is Patrick Mahomes. Because last week, he had a little bit of a dud. You know what, this week he's playing Miami.
You're going to come back with a vengeance.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
That's low hanging. I'll give you that. That's low hanging.
Like revenge game.
I was hoping you're going to say something different, something that like nobody was going to do.
Yeah, so I like me some Mahomes this week to deliver. And then as far as defenses are concerned, I think that gets a little bit.
I'm gonna switch up. I'm gonna give you some time to redeem yourself, yo. Backtrack that shit. Act like that never happened.
What? Mahomes?
That day, yeah, that was a bullshit ass take, nigga. Like, bro,
You said you don't care if it's low hanging fruit.
I didn't, yeah, but I didn't think that you were really gonna do it. I thought you were gonna actually not suck. All right. While we give Taco more time to,
So then I'll go Daryl Henderson Jr.
just develop your take. Just take time.
You don't like Daryl Henderson Jr.?
Shut up. Let me do this. I'm gonna actually double back and I'm gonna piggyback on two. One of them, you guys actually haven't been starting them. Only about 60% of you been starting them. Must start top 5 guy says leaves. No, like what I'm gonna do for you guys though, we are gonna finally put some conviction on DeAndre Hopkins' names. It's been week 5, he had a great outing. And then week 6, it was like, oh my gosh. Then like the bye week happened. Then it was like, oh, there's Levis. Levis is essentially gonna just be like, fuck it, there's someone down there, and which is the contribution to the 35.8 points that he had against Atlanta. And I think that he can do that against Pittsburgh again. Even though that Pittsburgh pass rush is just super heavy, super pressure. I think this Tennessee offense takes a new identity underneath DeAndre Hopkins. I'm really liking this Trey McBride start as well, especially should it be Kyler Murray who comes back like earlier than expected, even if it is going to be Clayton soon. What's a rookie's quarterback's best friend? A tight end. They're going against Cleveland, and well, Cleveland will let you score on them. So that's what I have in regards to just offensive players that I really want you guys to kind of keep an eye out on in regards to must starts, must plays. I don't mind you taking a flyer on to see what happens on that Kyler Murray situation. I wouldn't go and spend any fab on Clayton Tune. Wait to see what happens on the Kyler Murray situation. And honestly, I think that I think that you're fine. Kyler Murray, 57% rostered. There's a chance you'll be able to grab him. Okay, guys. There's a chance you'll be able to grab him. There's a chance you'll be able to make something happen. In regards to defenses, let me swing for defenses here. Bloody hell, mate. 1 second. I'll actually get you guys. I'll get you guys a solid defense. It's definitely not going to be Washington after what the fuck we did today. You got the Chargers going against the Jets. I mean, and hopefully they can, do something. But the Chargers will play down to their competition, and that's your biggest worry there. Is the Chargers playing down to their competition? But in terms of waiver wire availability, Chargers against the Jets, that might be something you can make work. I'm not trusting the Raiders against the Giants. The Giants, for all we know, could possibly go out there and smack the dog shit out the Raiders. Because why? The Raiders are the Raiders. It has less to do about the Giants being the Giants.
I don't know. At quarterback, with how bad we've been and looking at how Vegas has been over their last 4 games in standard scoring, they've had Green Bay 13 points allowed, 2 sacks, 3 interceptions. Then they had 17 points allowed to New England, 4 sacks. Chicago, not a good game, but they had 2 sacks and a block kick. And then last game, a sack, an interception, 2 fumble recoveries, and a touchdown versus this horrid Giants offense. Listen, man, call me a sucker if they get beat, but I'll take that shit.
I see Vegas easily, really quick to Leafs comment here. The Pats will smash the Commanders. I see Vegas easily making that be like you thought that was going to happen type of situation. I don't even want to play the trap. I don't even want to fuck around with the trap. I don't even want to play around with the trap. I don't even want to, oh no. Nope.
And especially if Waller's not playing, like it's not 100% if Waller's playing or not. Like
That
I
wasn't
just
on Leaf's comment.
well, Leafs comment is Pats versus Commanders. Yeah, I'm sorry, I was still talking about the Vegas thing, but
Go ahead.
Pats smashing Commanders. I'm not touching that as well.
Yeah, I don't play the trap. Don't get sucked into the trap. Because all we know is Commanders come out, win it, and then we're having a conversation of, oh well, like the fucking front office knew what they were doing, and then we all look fucking stupid. Don't do that. Unless you have full confidence, don't do that. Because I don't have full confidence in that. I don't.
Not a lot of great matchups this week though, because even like Indiana versus Carolina, like I don't love that. It's a good matchup on paper, but I don't love the Colts
I would take
defense.
Indiana over Carolina. I would take Indiana over Carolina.
No, I mean Indianapolis Colts defense over Carolina.
Yeah, I would take that. I'd run that.
50-50. I don't know. Belichick is a fucking G. But man, this New England defense has not put up points. 37 points on the season. 5 in back-to-back games, 3 in the game before that. Indiana got 41 in the season standard scoring, -1 in their last game, 5-1-4. They haven't been great.
I play Chargers versus Jets is the most confident that I am, and that's
That's an interesting one.
Available.
Yeah, I mean, in their last 4 games, 14, 8, 4, and 9 versus the Jets offense, which we know is pedestrian at best. I think I'm right there. I agree. That's a really good matchup that probably a lot of people aren't looking at.
Yeah. Other than that, anything else?
No, I think we're good here.
Absolutely.
Oh, I got another one for you. My guy Drake London, must start that guy. He's been hitting for me, baby. He's on a little bit of a roll. Last 2 games, he had 5 catches, 54 yards, 6 catches, 55 yards, but 9 for 125 before that, 6 for 128, 3 for 28 and a touchdown. He's been consistent over his last. The game before that, he had 5 points, 2 for 31. Game before that, 6 for 67 yards and a touchdown. Then before that, obviously the 0. So the first 2 games, he was mad. After that, he's kind of been rolling. And right now, I think he has the potential to possibly blow up in this game, or at the very least get you 10 points. So I'll put that shit in my lineup.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Goal Line Goons. It's your boy RumboyzRobbie, TDS Taco. And we out here. Dilly dilly. Bow!
Preaching on the, yeah.